Good morning, sunshine. It is Monday, December 9th. Welcome to the Monday Minute episode of the Sports Curious podcast. I'm your host, Amy Butchon Siegfried. We're talking about all things you need for holiday parties this week. Some great conversation starters, because if you're like me, your evenings are packed this week with holiday party stuff. And those people who talk about things that are not the weather are more exciting. Let's just face it. So here's a couple of things you can talk about. We're going to cover some quick points, and then we'll dive into the big topic, which is college football. In the NFL, it was the last weekend of My Cause, My Cleats, and sideline reporter Erin Andrews got in on the deal. My Cause, My Cleats is when players can design their own special cleats that are then auctioned off after the game for the charity of their choice. Now, Andrews paid tribute to a young fan at Boston Children's Hospital who dreams of being a sideline reporter one day. So it was very cool. Everyone was loving these shoes that she wore on camera for the game. Maybe not loving so much the New York Giants. They are really not having a great season. And about 90 minutes before they were set to face the Saints yesterday at MetLife Stadium, a small plane unveiled a banner that stated, "Mr. Mara, enough. Please fix this dumpster fire," speaking about the Giants, who then went on to lose on Sunday and are paced to have one of the worst seasons in the history of the franchise that is celebrating its 100th season. Now let's move on to F1, Formula One. It was the last race of the season yesterday, and Lando Norris, well, he won the race, and McLaren won the Constructors' Cup. But all the talk was about Lewis Hamilton's departure from Mercedes. Now, the Mercedes Lewis Hamilton relationship, it came to an end after 12 years and 7 world titles. It's a phenomenal partnership, but Hamilton is moving on to Ferrari next season. Switching over to college basketball, the number one ranked at the time, Kansas City Jayhawks, well, they had a week to forget. They lost to 2 unranked teams. The court was rushed by Missouri fans after they beat them. Now, remember, though, they may have lost to 2 unranked teams, and they're probably going to lose that number one ranking today. But they're only 9 games into a 35 40-ish game season. So there's definitely room to grow on that. And last short point, well, the class of 2025 quarterback Chase Herbstreit, who was the son of ESPN analyst and former Ohio State quarterback Kirk Herbstreit, well, he committed to Michigan yesterday afternoon. Now, you might know that Michigan and Ohio State are huge rivals, so I'll be intrigued to what happens in the Herbstreit household when he starts his season next year. Okay, college football. It's the first ever 12-team field for the college football playoffs. Well, it's been set. But let's applaud really quickly. We'll reverse to Saturday, ESPN College GameDay. Timothée Chalamet, well, he surprised even several sports commentators on College GameDay and some of the fans after he showed off his impressive knowledge of college football on the show's latest broadcasts. If you're like me and you follow a lot of accounts on Instagram that are sports, they were blowing up with how phenomenal his picks were. Now let's dive back into that college football playoffs. There are top 4 seeds who get a bye in the first round of this playoffs. Now remember, the 12-team playoff is a new thing this year. Oregon, Georgia, Boise State, and Arizona State will all have a bye because they all won their conference championship. The first round of the college football playoffs will start December 20th with Notre Dame playing Indiana. And on the 21st, which is a Saturday, we have SMU, Penn State, Tennessee at Ohio State, Clemson at Texas. So we have some great games happening. The one team worth mentioning is that Alabama was on the bubble, and it was probably the most debated team to not make it because they ultimately had 3 bad losses, and that kept them out. They couldn't make it in on reputation alone. Well, that's what we have for your week. Have a great week ahead. Of course, keep us on social media, Last Night's Game, and at lastnightsgame.com. Have a great week.